Well, besides my work on the Cronides and mythology, I look at some other hidden human stories, such as the history of slavery and World War II, or basically the wars of the 20th century. And I found something today that just makes me furious. I'm working on some information about a family out of a small town in Illinois that were abolitionists and really paid the price to end slavery. And what I found was an 1840 census that this family was listed in. And it was out of Vermont. And if you can look closely, blow up your screen, what you see is it says free white persons, excluding heads of families. And then it says free colored persons. And all of them are broken into males and females in age. And they broke down the white people even more per age bracket than the colored people. And I've always said the whites were the first slaves, and this whole indentured servant crap is just a sugarcoating of white slaves. And this proves it, because if you were supposedly just an indentured servant, then it should say that on the census. This proves what a load of bunk history is. It's just another piece of information. And I've always told you in my research, the whites were the first slaves. The blacks came later. But what's really sickening is it's just how they broke down the age bracket. The children weren't even considered free. And I already knew that, but this is just another piece of information to kind of show you how much you're lied to. And the family that was listed on here is free. Like I said, they really went all out. They were abolitionists, and they were trying to get involved in politics to get rid of slavery. And, like I said, I do this on the side. I'm going to at some point do some major work on this. I'm probably going to do a trip down to the West Indies, like Barbados and Jamaica and a couple other ones, Montserrat, I think it's called, and take a look at what was going on down there in some of the plantations like Virginia. But they pretty much have covered up this white slavery, just as they tell the blacks now that the blacks weren't slaves, they were the happy slaves, or as I think it was Ben Carson said that you were immigrants. So this is how they do it. And they have always put white and black people against each other, because that's a tactic. Divide and conquer. And I've read a little bit about the history of when they got rid of slavery in the West Indies. The British outlawed it before even America did. And there were a lot of fights between the blacks and the whites, because now they were competing for the jobs, what little, just to survive. And that's what's done here in America now, even on a worse scale, because now they've added in more people that are culturally different. But I just wanted to show you how they lie continuously. And that is, the people that are in control, who have always had control of things. And I'm just going to say it, the Jews and Arabs ran the slave trade. They did it. And they had cooperation from blacks who sold blacks, or whites like Cromwell and his army when they were exterminating white people. And they don't get the blame. And they haven't paid reparations. And they have to. And we have to rewrite all the history books and get the truth out. But this is just an example. And this just makes me incredibly angry. That, I have to pay to get this information. I have to pay to be on Ancestry.com. I have to pay to get birth and death certificates or any kind of historical piece of information or a book. I pay for the internet, what have you, to try and put this stuff back together. And this should be taught in every school. It shouldn't even be a question. Just as we shouldn't be on oil, we should be on a hemp oil industry. And this just shows you how deep you are in a slave plantation and don't realize it. And on top of it, I've talked about other things such as America giving money to alleged Holocaust victims for elder care, and that was under Obama. While we have people with dirty water in Detroit, or who can't even afford to pay for it, that get nothing. America wasn't even involved in those worker camps, but yet we're supposed to give millions for elder care for alleged Holocaust victims, and we don't even give money for our veterans or just citizens for elder care. This is how bad it is. And, I have to stop and take a breather, because when I see something like this today, it almost feels hopeless to me to think, how are we ever going to get out of this? And it's just me, and there's other people trying to do this, but to see the depth of this and to see how we work and all of our money is stolen from us and we're forced to be on industries and that we shouldn't be in, and people that have come up with better ideas are murdered off or slandered and defamed, and the average person has no chance to run for an office or make a difference. It's disheartening. And I do other things. Like I said, I'm into this Lovelock Cave and the history there, which is being covered up, and obviously all of your religion. But just to see this, where it says free white persons and free colored persons, and the way that they broke them down by gender and the age bracket, it's just disgusting. And what is even more disgusting is organizations like the SPLC that writes whole articles about how this is a myth. And these people are generally Jewish lawyers, and they pit race against race, and they've made multi-millions off of law cases. The ADL is another one, and there's other various groups. And, and there's groups that have pushed the happy slave narrative as well, but it just makes me sick. And I've said this before, when you start ripping down the statues and the history, like people are doing with the Confederates, you're erasing your history, and they want you to do that. They don't want you to dig into it or know who set these guys up to do this, who really ran that slave trade, who profited off of it. It was less than, I think, 2% of whites that owned slaves, but there were even black people that owned slaves. In Cherokee, the Cherokee people owned slaves. And they won't tell you this. But now what they want to do is erase this history, because we're getting too close again. Like I said, sometimes I just feel like this is a hopeless situation, and I feel like we are all in so deep, and they won't let us close the doors to fix the problems of this country. They just keep replacing us, so you never remember what happened, and they keep everybody fighting. And then there's never any truth, and there's never any independence. We could have been on a hemp oil industry, as Henry Ford created. The guy actually had a car that ran on hemp oil made out of hemp plastic. We would have been 100% out of the Middle East. And I think that's why they forced us on that oil, to force us over there. And you know why. You know who is building their little empire over there. But I feel like when I see something like this tonight, it is incredibly upsetting to me to know that nobody knows this, and except for me now and the people that have half a brain and maybe somebody that looks at my videos. I just sometimes feel like it's unrepairable. I mean, or it's just going to take a whole lot to change things here. But I wanted to point this out just to show you how deep it is, how deep we are all in a lie. That's it. I will continue to put stuff like this out. Nobody's doing this except me and a handful of people, and I'm sure I'll never be on the 6 o'clock news or whatever on some show with millions of viewers and be allowed to show what I'm finding without it being ripped or modified. I mean, it's going to be a long way out of this mess. That's it.